And yeah, so we see Alex searching for a... Oh, yeah. Sorry for the audio issues. The sound was turned down for a bit. So we see that Alex has... He searched for a Jirachi to find him a Sycamore to try and get set up. He does have the Executor online. Dropping another Execute onto the bench.
And he was able to get rid of another DCE, which is...
oh, yeah, he did get rid of the second
becomes
DCE.
a bigger deal.
For sure. James is going to be searching for energy, but James does have plenty of cards in hand, although he doesn't have any energy. I do see the supporter, though. As we were saying earlier, for those of you who didn't hear, the Night March deck that James is playing is just basically probably the most aggressive deck in the format. You just want to play out your hand really early, dump a bunch of Night Marchers in the discard pile. Mew EX can copy the attacks of any Pokemon with Night March that you have on board. And Night March says it does 20 damage times the number of Night Marchers in your discard pile. So, as you can see, James currently has 9, it looks like.
Yeah,
So that's going to be 180 damage base. He also has Muscle Bands and Silver Bangles he can use on his non-Mew attackers. And it looks like James is the energy. And James can't play supporters, of course, because of the blockade attack.
Yeah, it looks like Alex is going to kind of take control here. James can't really do anything without being able to play the Juniper in his hand.
Yeah, and this is kind of what this deck, Alex's deck, tries to do, I think, is just... You're not going to be able to retreat because of my Drag Algaes. You're not going to be able to play supporters. I'm going to be hitting you for 30 after my Muscle Band. I have a Gust of Wind effect in my Red Signal.
Yep. Yeah, this deck can really capitalize on your poor draws, I suppose. Like it has many different outs to lock your opponent.
For sure. He also has Crushing Hammers, as we've seen, so just kind of attacks you from all angles. The only thing I would be worried about if I were Alex in general is I think the damage output is pretty low. Even something like Seismitoad, which is also a low damage output deck, is attacking for 30 base, 50 after a Muscle Band. This deck does have lasers, of course. I imagine it plays Burbank City Gyms as well, but those will be a little bit harder to stick with James's Dimension Valleys. And there's that Bouffalant that James has been coveting throughout the weekend.
So Alex slaps a Headringer onto the Mew EX, which will make it a little bit harder to attack with that. See if he has the energy to attack with another Executor here. Flips another Heads on Crushing Hammer. That's pretty devastating, actually.
Yeah,
so that's the third DCE down.
I don't know what James's energy count is like, but I don't think we've seen basic energy from him.
Yeah.
I imagine
there were grass energy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I imagine he has basic grass because of the Virizion, but I don't think I haven't personally seen him use one yet. So I imagine the count is pretty low. And then if you're new to this format, you can probably see that Alex's deck is looking pretty thin. It probably has about 10 cards in it, if that. But Alex will be using a Lysander's trump card to reset the whole thing, put his discard pile back into his deck, do the same with James's, which is quite devastating for the Night March deck, actually. Putting all those Night Marchers back, making James have to redraw all of his battle compressors, it can be absolutely crushing.
So Alex whiffed on the Executor attack last turn. So James will be able to get a little something going here.
Yeah, I think if James can hit an energy...
He does play the Shaman. He's got the last DC in hand.
Yeah, so James has been talking about playing the Shaman for a while. He thinks that Seismitoad is a really bad matchup, which it definitely is. You know, we've seen James play his first few turns where he's playing multiple acrobikes, battle compressors, etc. And if Seismitoad happens to Quaking Punch you before you get to that point, you get in pretty big trouble. So he plays the Shaman EX just as a way to kind of counteract that and also just do massive damage.
Yep.
Very, very fragile card in Shaman EX. I remember back when it was first released, I played it in Hydreigon.
Yep.
To just move the energies around, but it does have a low HP for an EX. It's kind of one of those cards that, if it's the last card played, it's very, very good. And especially as a surprise, I don't think it's going to be quite the best here because Alex's damage output is so low. But if it gets to the point where Alex has taken 4 or 5 prizes, which is how he's going to win the game, surprise Shaman EX. Unfortunately, it does take 2 energy, so it can't be that big of a surprise. But
it will be fairly difficult for Alex to KO. Fortunately for James.
Yeah, it looks like Alex is going to go ahead and pass the turn back with no attack, so James can really get ahead here. And this is kind of what I was saying about Alex's deck that I would fear, particularly against the Night March deck, is that whenever the Night March deck is going to attack, they are going to knock you out. They're doing so much damage that, they might not attack for 4 turns, but in those 4 turns, you're doing hopefully 120, maybe knocking out 1 Pokemon, and when they get to attack, they're going to take a prize. And I think Alex tries to mitigate that by playing non-EXs. So that hopefully that race kind of evens out. But I think if you stumble here, as Alex has done, James can really take advantage.
Yeah, and a deck like Alex's with a lot of different focuses tends to be inconsistent, and we see that happening here, where he's dead drawing again after he did earlier in the game, and it's really costing him. But, yeah, it looks like this Pumpkaboo might be able to go to the distance here. I think Alex only has 1 card in hand.
I think he has multiple, but they
they're stacked up there.
Yeah.
He seems a little tilted.
The other thing you have to consider too is that Alex, in order to win this game, is going to need to play a Lysander's trump card.
Yep.
And that will reset James's deck, but it'll also put all the DCEs back in there.
Yep.
So if Alex, is forced to, if he keeps stumbling and then is forced to play it, he's going to buy a couple turns maybe. But
I actually think trump card is far more beneficial for James here. The DCEs are very, very critical.
And especially if Alex can't go off with that Executor, I think,
Yep.
If he trump carded the turn he attacked with Executor, it would put James behind a fair amount. But if he has to do it in a different order, it's going to be tough because James will just play a supporter and draw all those cards again.
Yep.
Will make it more difficult for James, don't get me wrong, but the benefit of having those DCs back will be huge.
And Alex's Pokemon have fairly low HP, which makes it even easier for James to KO them, and less of a struggle to get all those Night Marches in the discard pile.
Great point. The Executor sitting there with 30 HP will be knocked out by 1 in a Muscle Band.
Yeah.
We see a Dowsing Machine. With Alex having no cards in his deck, I'm going to guess it's going to get a... Well, I was going to say Lysander's trump card, but he got an Ultra Ball, so he must have the Versus Seeker or something else in hand. Yeah, there's a Versus Seeker. And Alex is doing this. He's going to go ahead and take the Ultra Ball with the Dowsing Machine so that he has it back in his hand to search things out when the discard pile resets.
Yep.
Pretty clear play. Lysander's trump card definitely adds some elements to the game, I think, that are, I would say linear, but also pretty skill based. I think a worse player might have forgotten to do that or did things in a different order. And there's a shuffle, and now this is kind of the moment of truth. I didn't see if Alex had any energy.
Probably doesn't.
In his discard. He would have had to draw it, I believe.
Yeah. His card's a laser there, too. I guess he does probably have the energy with the laser discarded, considering the laser would be the only other way to do damage to the Pumpkaboo.
Well, I think one of his struggles...
There
he doesn't have the energy, okay. And there's Naga. This is what we were talking about. I think this turn can be huge.
Yep.
James can no longer play a supporter, so I guess he can hope to top deck a Battle Compressor or a similar draw card. He doesn't play any bicycles, doesn't play any roller skates, so Acrobike won't get the job done.
Yeah, he has to be able to do a lot in this turn, including draw a DCE and then get 5 more Night Marchers in the discard pile. So, we'll see.
He did. So this has actually been a pretty cool matchup, pretty back and forth. There are times when we thought Alex had it, times when we thought James had it. Now it's swinging back into Alex's favor. I don't think the game's very close to over, but it'll only take a few few more draw steps for James to just, you know, brick the next 3 and not be able to do much.
Yep.
You see James considering his option. He's in Juniper. He can't play a Mew EX, a Shaman, a Muscle Band, and a Versus Seeker.
So he uses Blockade, it looks like.
Yep, and then Alex just draws and attacks.
So he draws another Night Marcher here, which is pretty convenient. Can't really get rid of it yet.
Yeah, he can't do anything really at the moment. I think he just has to.
And Alex swapped out the stadium there, so it's even more difficult for James to attack that head ringer on Mew. And it looks like Alex is getting rolling here. Gets his Electrode out.
And Electrode also is a pretty good defense versus the Mew EX copying your Blockade. I mean, it's getting to basically play a supporter every turn without. I think Trevor Reed has won his round 1 match. So he will advance to 1-0 here.
So goes for the Skrelp again. I guess why not at this point? May as well.
Might as well try and get the lock up per se. There's a draw. And there's another Night Marcher.
Yeah. He can do nothing with.
The thing you have to be worried about, I think, if you're in Alex's seat too, is going to time.
Yep.
Your deck's not really doing a whole lot. And so I could see a situation where Alex wins this game, it takes 10 more minutes, and then James wins a fairly quick game 2, and then we go to a game 3 that Alex just can't actually win. Even if we had a very quick game 2, it would be difficult for Alex to win, I think, assuming this game goes a little bit longer. And there's a Virizion EX.
The upside of that is that if you do win game 1 and game 2 goes to time, you automatically win. So.
Yeah. And there's the Sycamore.
So he plays a random receiver. It's interesting. Haven't seen that card in a little while. So can't tell.
With the head. Oh no, the tails.
Yeah.
And at this point, if I'm Alex, I think I just want to attach that other Executor and kind of get things rolling. He can also... I guess that won't work. I was going to say he could also try and use Red Signal to buy things back a bit, but I think he just wants to knock out the Pokemon with Energy on it at this point.
So another Tails on the Crushing Hammer. Not really a big deal. Mew can't attack anyway. So he Red Signals up to Joltik, which he'll actually be able to just KO. And then Battle Compressor.
Gonna thin his deck out a bit.
Yep. Battle Compressor is interesting in here. No, Execute has Propagation. So it's kind of a like pseudo search for Execute.
Yeah, definitely.
While also thinning your deck.
And a DCE for James.
Yep. So he'll actually be able to attack this turn. Not really any damage though. I believe he has 2 Night Markers in his discard pile.
Yeah, I think the second one was added from that Joltik knockout.
But then again, Alex won't be doing much damage either, and James will like slowly win that race.
Yeah, I mean, if you just compare the attacks on the cards, I think James is definitely going to be winning the race. I just think that Alex hopes to win via lasers and such.
Yep. And he will be able to laser this new Mew if James promotes it, since it doesn't have a Grass Energy on it. That would be 60 damage total, which is actually quite a lot.
So do you like the play of red signaling the Joltik there?
Yeah, I think so. It's basically just a free KO. And that Mew wasn't attacking anyway. So I think either way it was fine there, if you continue to attack the Mew or KO the Joltik.
Yeah, I think you just had... The question, I think, is whether adding another Night Marcher to the discard pile is worth maybe James drawing the DC and Baby only able to attack with the Mew, which he did, as we saw.
Yeah, I guess it would be a better idea to hold that KO for a little later, since that Joltik's always going to be there.
Yeah, there may be something I'm missing. I'm not very well versed in
Alex could also
deck
be
or list.
just hoping that James didn't have another Night Marcher, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to do anything at all. Random receiver for his entire deck.
Yeah, reveals the entire deck. And there's the attack, and it's interesting because James. Oh, there's the Battle Compressor. So I was going to say, James has just been kind of bricking all of these top decks. He doesn't want to draw supporters, he can't play them. He doesn't want to draw Pokemon, he can't play them. All he wants to draw is Battle Compressors, which he has done now.
Yeah, that Battle Compressor is really clutch here. He'll be able to KO the Executor. And Alex won't be able to KO him back.
You see James immediately takes all the Lampets out of his deck. There's no Litwicks, no Chandeliers. The Lampets are just in there for Night March, so those are the optimal Pokemon to discard first. So it looks like James has 5 Night Marchers now.
So James is going to take the KO here. He only needs 1 prize left. I'm honestly not sure what Alex can do.
Yeah, we saw how quickly that match turned around just by James drawing on his maybe 5th draw step the Battle Compressor.
Yeah, the control really shifted sides.
It's bounced back a lot in this matchup, actually.
Very drastically, yeah. A few times. So Alex is probably hoping for his other 2 Crushing Hammer, assuming he plays 4 to get rid of that DCE.
Go ahead and draw 2 off the Electrode. Yeah, gonna go ahead and reset things again with Lysander's trump card. And now he's in a position where, I mean, it's just he keeps doing this. I mean, it's going to reset James's damage output to basically 0. Although James can copy the other Pokemon on the field, but I just don't know how much it actually matters. I think. Go on.
Oh, James does play Grass Energy, so if that DCE isn't gone, he's actually online for Emerald Slash or Stomp, I believe, is Executor's second attack.
If he draws any other energy, he can also Derail as well.
Yep.
Just for an 100 after the Muscle Band.
It's a Versus Seeker. Obviously can't be played.
So if he can copy Blockade,
Yep.
can he copy any of the other attacks? Night March, obviously.
Buffalon.
Well, I mean right now, sorry, with the amount of energy he has.
Yeah.
Electrode, maybe?
I don't think so. He
picks a Lightning.
Yeah.
And there's the Enhanced Hammer.
For the DCE, yep.
And again, I mean, last turn we were saying that Alex is in a rough spot, and now James doesn't have any attacks on board, so.
Getting rid of that DCE and then blockading on the same turn is very powerful. Yeah, so James just ships his turn over, and Alex is going to be able to take a KO on Mew, and that Joltik is kind of just a sitting duck for the turn after.
Yeah, things aren't looking good. And there's the second Executor. Alex just thinning his deck a bit and preparing for the worst. So if James draws, no, he'll need multiple draw steps to do it because he cannot play supporters.
Yep.
He can certainly stay alive.
Yeah. He'll
he
be
can-
looking to stall here, hoping that Alex doesn't have a Lysander or a Plasma Energy, which seems unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know what's in Alex's hand, but because a way that James can win here is draw a Battle Compressor, Battle Compress. Next turn, draw a DCE.
He draws the Escape Rope though, which is basically useless.
He can also. Oh, he doesn't have energy in his hand this turn.
Though Escape Rope will actually force Alex to have an energy to retreat, I believe. Kills, but it'll still do more damage on the laser. So trying to put him to sleep. Still to Hills. And Alex has a Versus Seeker for Sycamore. See what he draws here. All he needs is
He
there it
does.
is.
Yep,
Yep,
he
so
does
that's
draw the
game.
Plasma Energy, activates Red Signal, and brings up that Joltik on James's bench.
That was a good game. Really swingy.
Yeah, definitely. And now we do see that Alex has won what I think is a fairly long game one.
Yep.
Obviously, James's deck is very explosive and can come back and take a quick game two, but there's a reality where Alex just wins this game one, game two doesn't complete, and then Alex...
That was a pretty powerful start for
victor.
James, too, against Alex's kind of lackluster first few turns.
Yeah, absolutely. James had basically everything he needed going for him, but couldn't quite get the job done.
Yep.
How do you feel about the format right now, Amelia? Have you been playing much?
I think it's pretty solid. I really like the Flareon deck. It's kind of a refreshing deck. Adds a little more nuance rather than just kind of beating your AXs up against each other.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I think the format's pretty much fine at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of different decks to choose from depending on what you prefer. So...
Both players are going to go ahead and get set up.
Alex slow rolling the mulligan there.
Oh.
A little bit.
As always, On the Bubble is brought to you by Top Gut Central. This weekend, you can use the promo code BUBBLE at topgutcentral.com and get 10% off your order. They have singles and sealed product accessories on the Bubble playmats that you see on your screen now, and anything else you want. Looks like James started with a grass-type Pokemon. And James takes his mulligan draws, and the game will begin. Alex using proper form of prize laying. Oh, looks like James didn't start with a grass type. My eyes deceive me. Does start with a Boomful though, which can't be what he's wanting.
Yeah. So we see him start off with computer search there. Actually, this is a pretty good start for James. If he gets Dimension Valley, DCE, then he'll be able to whack the Genesect for 120 damage. This card is ridiculous looking, by the way, if you go look up the art.
On the Buffalon?
It's very silly. Yeah.
What's the ability?
It does 40 more damage to your opponent's grass.
Oh,
Pokemon.
right.
So he escape ropes to put the Mew active.
And he does get that DCE. Will not be attacking this turn, of course, but is loading those Night Marchers into the discard.
That's Jirachi too. This has been a pretty quick start for James.
I think most of the, average to great Night March hands are like this.
Yeah.
Just playing a bunch of stuff turn 1, just dumping your hand, being aggressive.
So he doesn't get the Dimension Valley, just slaps DCE and Muscle Band on Mew. Alex gets Lysander's trump card into the discard pile with Battle Compressor again, which is like a really clever play, so you can burst the secret back whenever you need it.
That's a trick we've seen. A lot of decks use. A lot of sideshow decks will just be able to go through their entire deck. Oh, last turn, Rush Seeker, Lysander's trump card back. I can do it all again.
Yep. I really like all the discard pile manipulation that's in the format right now. It's quite a bit different than what we've seen, as opposed to, standard attaching energy from your discard pile or whatever. Adds a lot of nuance.
I agree.
So he's discarding a Mime, an Execute, and probably just a random trash card, if anything. Nothing else.
So I guess I have to fix the stream overlay real quick. Should be good now. We're going to go ahead and propagate, play it onto the bench, attach. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Being able to use Execute's propagate ability to basically put it onto the bench is pretty interesting, just having your basic set up whenever you'd like. And there's a Sycamore. And another propagation. James is. I think you can kind of tell that James knows that time may be of the essence. He has a dice in his hand. He almost rolled it just a minute ago.
He's getting a little anxious here. Understandably.
Yeah, definitely. Also, this tournament's going to be just so tough. It's 7 rounds. I haven't done the math yet. I will do the math in between rounds, but James. A first round loss is probably going to require you to go 5-1-1 to make the top 8. And with a first round loss, you're going to be so far behind, both in the fact that you have to win 5 straight, but also the fact that your tiebreakers are going to be worse.
Yep.
So if any 5-2s make it, you probably won't be one of them. So it doesn't end your tournament. Certainly those people have lost round 1 and gone back to win the whole thing, but it definitely puts you in a bad spot.
James's Mew stays asleep, which is pretty unfortunate for him. He only plays 2 switch cards and already played his escape rope, so he'll have to fish for a regular switch to be able to attack this turn.
Looks like he's making a pretty big consideration off his acrobike, which isn't typical. And decides to discard the switch. Interesting. He took a Versus Seeker, so it looks like, he wouldn't have had a way to retreat if he took the switch, which is unfortunate. He does have Escape Rope, which he can use to...
I believe he used it on turn 1.
Oh, my. Oh, he actually did, yeah. Because he started with the Boufflon active.
Yeah.
So I don't think he has any ways of switching out of this right now, and of course he cannot retreat. He is getting quite the Night March count up, though.
Yeah. It seems like a little bit of overextending if he can't attack this turn, since he knows that Alex has a trump card in his discard pile and possibly an Executor online next turn. If Alex just simply plays the trump card and blockades, it's going to be really tough for James to do anything, as we've seen from last game.
And that's a pass of the turn from James. Going to go ahead and flip, and stays asleep.
Yep.
You know, this is a pretty classic aggro versus control match, I think. Because if James gets rolling early, it's hard for Alex to come back. But if James stumbles at all and gives Alex a window to kind of set this whole thing up. And we even saw, the thing with Alex's deck too is it just seems so resilient. We saw multiple times in game one where we thought James was going to win. And not like it was a beating, it was very close. He had one prize left, but Alex's deck just has so many options. And just has such a control lockdown with, you know, no supporters, no retreating. I have almost infinite gust of wind effects. There's the enhanced hammer. And there's the blockade tail. Another acrobike.
Looks like an N and
And
Mew.
Have to believe he's taking the N there.
Yep. So he won't be able to do anything though. Just passes the turn.
Looks like Alex is considering setting up that executor, excuse me, for a stomp in the future turn, which seems like a fine play. He has the other energy on the execute on the bench anyways, and James definitely has the power to one-hit KO the executor potentially, but doesn't look like he's doing much right now, so he might as well set up and try and be able to just go aggro if he needs to. There's 2 prizes for Alex. Promotes the Joltik, wise play, both as his main attacker and if he happens to draw an energy, and if not, it's going to fuel another Night Marcher into the discard pile.
Alex gets a head ringer onto the Mew.
Just putting James even more behind.
Yep. So Alex is in a far more dominating position this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Seems like this might be kind of unwinnable for Night March, given that James had pretty ideal game 1.
I mean, I think that if James drew any good cards in the first 4 turns after in game 1 after Alex played last night's trump card, he would have won. Like, he'd go down to 1 prize.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree that once you get into this position, James is probably 10% to win.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty live throughout. Alex Koch is a player from Eastern Washington who qualified for Worlds this year. I think this is his first year qualifying. For those of you who aren't from the Northwest, Eastern Washington is, you think of Western Washington, you think of Seattle, you think of rainforest and rain and Starbucks, and Spokane, where Alex is from, Eastern Washington, is pretty much a desert. It's kind of one of the unknown little hidden facts about our state, so he has to travel quite a bit for all these tournaments. From where he lives to Seattle, for instance, is probably 5 to 6 hours over mountains, so earning his invite definitely says something, I think. And James Good, of course, the World 2013 third place here in Vancouver, actually, managed to defeat Takuya Yaneda with his Blastoise deck before losing to Simon Road in the top 4. James, not qualified for a World this year, hasn't quite taken the game as seriously. Looks like there's some coin flip dispute, but looks like it's resolved.
Yeah. He just switches into the Berisian EX. He won't be able to attack with it this turn.
I think he's just trying to avoid his things getting knocked out for as long as possible. Like, if James does have a path to victory, I think it's probably... Actually, James's path to victory is probably Alex trying to go too aggressive, stomping, and then James being able to end him low and coming back. Even that seems unlikely, as James will only have 1 turn to be able to play supporters, assuming that Alex sets up another execute, but the executor rather.
Yep.
And there's the Dimension Valley. All right.
Yeah, there's just not really much he can do here.
A handful of cards he can't play.
Be KO'd by Executor this turn, and then Alex will only have to take 1 more prize.
Yeah, looks...
And he's almost got Stomp online, which can KO Mew. So.
Yeah, not a great
Or
place to
Mime,
be.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah, and James is going to go ahead and concede. The game was over. It might have lasted a few more turns, but it was over. Alex Koch advances to 1-0. Interesting deck. James Good also playing a kind of, I wouldn't say unorthodox, but definitely a deck that I think was maybe not everyone in the tournament.
I think he was expecting to play into like a Field of Yveltal or in Flareon.
Yeah.
So
So I'm going to go ahead and grab Alex for a quick interview, talk about his deck a little bit, and we will be right back.